Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another segment of Asaph Cafe. I am your host, Asaph Adonai. On my immediate left, affectionately, our aging rocker Emmett, and we're just going to do a one-on-one. And I like these one-on-one shows.
Same
They're
here.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This is Season 8, Episode 2, so this will just be a normal cafe here.
Yep.
Linda Brooks Curtis has left. She was in the first one. It was a delight to share
Yes,
this
it was.
new season with the both of you. So now you and I do a one-on-one.
All right.
I'm going to get a shot of my secret ingredient.
Yep.
That's a fun line. Remember Star Trek 5?
Yep.
Dr. McCoy's making those beans
Yep.
with the alcohol in it.
Yep.
Yeah. And he tells Mr. Spock that his secret ingredient in his beans was alcohol.
Yeah.
And Captain Kirk says, "You got any more of that secret ingredient?"
Amazing. Yep.
That's just fun to say.
Yeah, it is.
Soda, you know. But.
Yeah.
So I'm not endorsing alcohol, as you know.
Yeah,
This
I know,
is
I
such
know.
a
Exactly.
fun line
Yeah,
in
yeah,
that
yeah.
movie. Well, you can start us off as always, Em.
Heavenly Father, in Jesus' name, bless our food and our time together on this show. In Jesus' name.
I'm gonna start off with the Burt Bacharach. I haven't done this song in a while.
Well, I have a fascinating announcement to make after this. It is
Okay.
excellent. It is the same announcement as last show,
Yeah, but
I'll-
people probably can see the last show. She can make that announcement
God,
again.
it's good news. It's fascinating.
But I want to play this song first. You know.
Yes,
Beautiful song.
it is. The spinning dryer, it makes me spin. The spinning dryer is fascinating.
I'll play it all the way through. Beautiful song.
Yes, it is. The spinning dryer.
I've probably played this song more than
Yeah.
any song I've ever done as a pianist over the
Yeah.
years.
The spinning dryer. The spinning dryer is fascinating.
Yeah.
Dance for us.
Well, make yourself at home, Emmett.
Yep,
It's a fun song.
it is beautiful. Yep.
Yeah, these keys are kind of hard to push down.
Yes.
That's okay.
So beautiful.
And for those who don't know the name of this song, it's called "This Guy's in Love with You."
Mm-hmm.
Burt Bacharach is the composer in the 1960s that wrote that, and the trumpeter Herb Alpert introduced it to the world and made it famous at the time. And what was really cool about that was, his name is Herb, So they built this giant letter H on the set of the show, and he was sitting on the line where the letter H goes, and he had his trumpet in it. And so he was like singing that, and then he takes up his trumpet, he starts playing
I
that
love it.
solo.
You
And
mean
that
there was a
fun.
Herb Alpert show?
No,
Oh,
he
okay.
was just a guest on, I think it was the Carpenter show,
Oh,
if I
okay.
remember that right.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was literally sitting on this giant letter H,
Mhm.
propped up in the air, the line that goes in a
Yes.
letter H?
Yes.
And he was singing that song, sitting on that little line in this set they had. And then he took his trumpet and he was playing that melody.
Fascinating.
That was so cool. It was so cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, if I could play the trumpet like Herb Alpert, I probably wouldn't have to play the piano
Yep.
anymore, So, but that guy, he still is. He's an amazing trumpet player. And he left the world some great music.
Yeah.
Easy listening music.
Yeah, wonderful. I guess he's not alive anymore.
No, he still is.
Oh,
He's
well.
just, I guess you don't hear about him as much as you once did.
Mm-hmm.
I assume he's still performing.
Yeah.
Whatever. A lot of these people, when they pass their heyday, they still perform, even though the younger generation coming up may not know who they are. But they still perform.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he probably packs them in wherever he goes for the people that remember him. But what was cool about him is the dating game with Jim Lang. He used to use the music of Herb Alpert. And now here she is, and they do something like this.
Yeah.
Something like that. Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know how to play that, but That was cool that they would use his music.
Yeah.
You know, it was just
Wonderful.
He left some beautiful music.
Yes,
great
yes,
music.
wonderful. Yeah.
And I've seen some of his videos,
Uh-huh.
so that's pretty cool watching his
Yeah,
man,
definitely.
you know, play the trumpet. And you know, I used to listen to his music when I was growing up,
Mm-hmm.
and I think my parents used to listen to Herb Alpert.
Yeah.
Who didn't? If
Yeah,
you were
definitely.
In the 60s and 70s, so who knows? But he was an amazing trumpet player. For those, I'm not a trumpet player, but for those people that I guess know about the trumpet,
Mm-hmm.
it was pretty cool
Mhm.
listening to his music. Let's have some fun with his music.
I've heard that, yeah.
This is called The Lonely Bull.
The Lonely Bull?
Yeah.
You mean B-U-L-L,
Yeah.
like a lonely cow?
Yeah.
Fascinating. The Lonely Bull. Yep.
Yeah, The Lonely Bull.
Well, if there are any cows out there, like if there's a television set out there in the field and there's a lonely bull out there somewhere in a field, that song's for you.
Yeah, it's called The Lonely Bull. And,
Fascinating.
He just did some other pretty cool songs. I wouldn't be able to play them on the piano, obviously, because they're not piano songs.
Mhm.
But yeah, you know, you can probably look up Herb Alpert on YouTube or maybe find some archival of those old records. But he just did some pretty cool music
Fascinating.
for that era. Not only Herb Alpert, but and some that I've mentioned, like Bert Kaempfert.
Oh, I love Bert Kaempfert. Swingin' Safari. Yep.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Isn't that cool?
Yep. Wonderful.
Something like that. And then, of course, they'd have another trumpet player doing all those solos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they called Bert Kaempfert the hit maker.
Yeah.
I never get tired of telling that story. I mean, this man was like King Midas. Whatever he did, it became gold. And all the artists of that era were doing the music of Bert Kaempfert.
Mm-hmm.
Al Hirt, trumpeter of the past,
Mhm.
he had an album called Al Hirt Plays Bert Kaempfert. Then they had other artists, whatever their name was, they would say, this artist plays Bert Kaempfert. You know, whether they were a singer
Uh-huh.
or a musician or whatever. And it was just pretty cool to listen to the music of Bert Kaempfert.
Yeah.
Just pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm just going to relax and take my time on this here. Let's have fun with Chariots of Fire.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that was an 80s movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that. I never got into that. Kind of, not my kind of thing, you know. It inspired some people. I know it's kind of a human interest thing, but yeah. You know.
Here's the middle part.
They'd even play this on KUEZ FM sometimes, you know, the easy listening station they've transmitted into the orchestra. Yep.
Yeah, it's a neat song.
Yeah.
And the final verse. Yeah, that has to do with the famous runner.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember his name at the moment. He was a runner in his youth, and then when he got older and got into Christianity, he did some amazing things. I think in the world of missions and stuff like that,
Wonderful.
getting the gospel of Christ out to
Wonderful.
people out in that country, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably took some artistic license in the movie, which they do, because I understand it's a movie. So like the Prince of Egypt, for example, they had at the beginning of the movie that we're taking some artistic license, but we believe that our presentation does tell the story of Moses,
Yeah, yeah.
even though it has the artistic license.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff in that that clearly wasn't in the Bible, but
Yeah, yeah.
I think there's a difference between that and something like that Noah's Ark movie, which is clearly.
Yeah, that was awful. Noah.
But,
yeah, that was.
Getting back to the Prince of Egypt, it took them 4 years to make that cartoon.
Didn't know that, huh?
Well, it was shot in Holy Land too, and just those factors, and they had like Jewish, Hebrew scholars involved in the production, from what I understand, Hebrew choir, and it was just beautiful film, and the special effects just amazing, and they had people like Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey lend their voice to it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to see if I can remember how to play a song from that film. There was a song called "When We Believe." This is a song. This is when Moses first. Well, let me backtrack. Remember, the Lord tells Moses, "Kill the lamb."
Yes.
And sprinkle the blood on the doorpost. Because I'm going to send the death angel. I'm going to wipe out the firstborn. And if I see the blood on your doorpost, I'm not going to get you. And of course, Moses and the children of Israel obey the Lord. They believe it. So they kill the lamb. They put the blood on the doorpost. In this cartoon, they did depict that. And so then that death angel goes in there at midnight, right, Egypt, and he wipes out all the firstborn. And so then after Pharaoh's son dies, and they have a scene with Pharaoh and Moses, and he's like, "Leave me!"
Yeah.
His son was dead. So Pharaoh decides to let the
Egyptians
children of Israel go. And so they have this scene in the cartoon where Moses tells his wife Zipporah and sister Miriam and brother Aaron and all the children that, we're getting out of here, we're leaving. And they had a song in there called "When You Believe" in the cartoon, and that's the song I want to play. So I wanted to tell that story. Now, I haven't done this in a while, so I'm not even sure I can remember it. I'll try to do this, see if you recognize it. You recognize it?
Nope. Yeah, I never watched the cartoon,
I'll play it for you.
Interesting.
Beautiful song.
Yeah, it is.
Now I'm going to do verse 2. Isn't that pretty? This is what they were playing when they were leaving the...
Wonderful.
I haven't done it in a while. Yeah, When You Believe.
Wonderful.
And that movie has some really good, I would recommend you see it. It has some really good actors. Patrick Stewart, Star Trek, he plays Pharaoh. He had that voice, that Captain Picard voice.
Yeah.
He made a perfect Pharaoh. Val Kilmer, the actor, played Moses. Jeff Goldblum, I don't know if you know him, he was in this film. He plays Aaron, the high priest. And Whitney Houston, if I remember, I think she was Miriam, Moses' sister. And Mariah Carey was Zipporah, I believe. But, I don't know if those facts are 100% correct, but the point I'm making is it was such a beautiful
wonderful
show, and the special effects in this was just beautiful. It's called The Prince of Egypt, if you ever get to see it. And I don't know, I may have butchered that song, I don't know, but it's a beautiful song.
Wonderful.
And Danny Glover, the actor, the African-American actor was in this, he lent his voice to it. He plays Zipporah's father, the high priest of Midian.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a song on there called Look at Your Life Through Heaven's Eyes. Because there was a scene where, after Moses was humbled being in the desert for 40 years, they were celebrating because Moses saved Zipporah and the sisters from the bad guys are trying to steal the water from them from the well. And Zipporah's father's like, praising Moses, and Moses says, I wish you wouldn't do that because I'm not worth anything.
Yeah.
And that's when Danny Glover, the father, says, don't look at your life that way. Look at your life through heaven's eyes.
Yeah.
And it had a line in there where, when you're living your life, you don't see the whole canvas. You just see a little piece of something, so you don't think you're worth anything, but God sees the whole thing, right? That's what they were saying in the film. And so they had this scene where they were sewing this piece of carpet, and then the camera goes back, you see the whole landscape of the carpet, and that was depicting Moses' life and how God sees the whole thing. And of course, Moses did some pretty cool things once the Lord was ready to use him.
Yep. He
wrote the 5 books of the Old Testament.
Yep.
Got to see the waters parted.
Yep.
And it just... Moses just did some pretty cool stuff.
He did.
It was really the Lord. I understand that.
Exactly.
He uses Moses.
Yep.
Can you imagine being Moses and
amazing,
see the Red Sea part for real?
Yeah.
That must have been staggering.
It must have been, yeah.
I'd be out in the middle of the Red Sea, right? And all of a sudden you see this body of water just floating up in the air and split on both sides. And it was just pretty cool. That must have been really something to see that in real life.
Yeah, it must have been, yeah.
If I could go back into a time tunnel, I'd go back to that period and watch that. Mm-hmm. And that's brilliant thinking on the Lord's part. Because the movie The 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston?
Yes, I saw that one.
They had a scene, just before the water parted and the children of Israel were trapped, right? And Pharaoh says, boy, God sure is a poor general to leave his people with nowhere to go. And the Lord is like, we'll see about that.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden the water split, they go right through it, and then when the Egyptians go, then the water caves in on them.
Yeah.
Brilliant thinking on the Lord's part.
It is.
And I know that even with the Charlton Heston movie, they probably took some artistic license, but they pretty much were telling the story. Yeah. I don't have a problem with artistic license as long as it tells the story.
Yes.
But when it's so far gone, it's just
like
really
the one
hard.
Noah. Nicholas called Noah. That just.
Well, I didn't see that.
I did.
How bad that was.
It was horrible. If you read the account of Noah, they had so much artistic license with the affilium or what are the giants. And thing is, there were a lot of people that were trying to destroy the ark, and then these giants were trying to help them build it, and some other weird things.
Yeah, see, stuff like that, that's kind of crazy, but like the light artistic license that they took on maybe the 10 Commandments or the Prince of Egypt, that's tame.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's like tame, I can see it. Because it's a movie and they've got to add some stuff to make it a movie and special effects. And that's cool, as long as they tell the story. Mm-hmm. But, I hope you get to see that Prince of Egypt. It's beautiful. It has beautiful music.
Wonderful.
And so, stuff like that. I'm going to play this song.
And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. That's the name of the song. Yeah, that's a nice song.
It will be a wonderful world one day when Christ returns.
It will be, yes, indeed.
Beautiful song.
They even play that song sometimes on the slumber set of toddler tunes, They play the whole thing, the song one where Ray Armstrong sang that, It's really nice. It's perfect to get a child to sleep. It's perfect,
Yeah, and here's the second part. And the conclusion. in the conclusion.
Yeah.
These keys on these type instruments are very hard to push down.
Yeah.
So I can't play that like I would like to
Yeah.
on a regular piano, but yeah, Louis Armstrong, like I said, I'm not a trumpeter, but he was a fun trumpet player to watch.
Yep.
Last time I remember seeing him, I was in junior high school. He was on a show called The Mike Douglas Show before he passed away in 1971.
Uh-huh.
And he didn't do much trumpet playing then because he was in his twilight years, but he carried his horn with him, and he just talked.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
But on A Wonderful World, I was hoping he'd play a trumpet solo. You know what I always liked about Louis Armstrong?
Mm-hmm.
When he would do those trumpet solos on his horn, he didn't give you too
Yeah.
much. He'd just give you like bits and pieces here, you know? So that you want more. Like you see all these trumpet players, right? And they're playing jazz, and they're throwing like a trillion notes in there at once.
Yes.
And, you know, I mean, it might be technically impressive, but it's like, come on, man. You
Yeah,
know, give me a
yeah.
break. Give my ears a break.
Yeah, exactly.
Song after song. You ever listen to jazz? And
Yes,
I
I
don't mean
have.
this critical. I'm talking about jazz, not that old Harry James kind of jazz.
I like smooth jazz, but
no,
that's
not
a lot
that. I'm
different.
talking about that bebop, hard.
No, I haven't. I really don't listen to the jazz.
Yeah, like
sound.
they'll play the melody, like, you know, Girl from Ipanema, they'll do something like this, you know. And they'll play the melody. And then when they get back to the melody again, they're just doing something totally different. And they're throwing about a zillion notes. But it's, you know, and it just, the sax player comes out, he does it. The trumpet player, the clarinet player, the bass guy's like, boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
and a bunch of notes. And the drummer cuts loose for about 5 minutes, right? And then after everybody does their little solo, they get back and they do the melody again. And then the next song is the same thing. And after about 15, 20 minutes, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
you know. I know jazz fans watching this aren't going to appreciate what I'm saying, but it's the truth.
It is. That would drive me crazy.
Jazz is like they just scrunch as many notes in their solo as they can. And Louis Armstrong would do it, but he'd give you a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Enough to want you to want more later.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling that story because by the time he did It's a Wonderful World, he was in his, I guess, retirement years, twilight years, whatever. And I was hoping he would have did another trumpet solo on that song. Of course he didn't, but it was cool to see the video, and at least he's holding his horn. And
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. I've known some people that have seen Louis Armstrong, we're talking about middle-aged people, like 70s, 80s,
Yeah.
that actually got to see Louis Armstrong in concert when they were younger.
Mm-hmm.
And that must have been something,
Yeah.
to be able to see Louis Armstrong play it for real. I mean,
Yeah.
he's considered probably one of the best trumpeters that ever lived for trumpet players.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't necessarily put his music in easy listening category.
No.
And I wouldn't necessarily put it in the jazz as far as I was describing
Yes.
as bebop hardcore jazz, but he was in the jazz world. And he's instrumental for opening the door
Yeah.
for a lot of people
Yeah.
that went on to create the new jazz after Louis Armstrong's time.
Yeah.
But what was fun about him was when he was getting older and doing pop music, he didn't give you too much. And it was always fun, you know, like he'd give you some jazz runs and some fast notes here and there, and I don't know how to describe it, but you know, it's like it wasn't overkill.
Yeah. Well, he was on KUEZ FM Easy Listening when in the 80s when it was Easy Listening. That's when I first heard the full Louis Armstrong version. It's a Wonderful World, song. Just that's what I heard. So at least that one wasn't a nice song. But before I forget, I have an announcement of some fascinating news in the science fiction world.
Okay. Let me finish and you can give your announcement. Short version, mañana. Go ahead.
Asaph showed me on the computer. It's and it's gonna be. CBS is renewing an old version of this series, new style, but old-fashioned Star Trek. They're already filming it, and it's gonna be slated to premiere next year, 2017.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And like we mentioned, it's not like Star Trek: The Next Generation.
One Voyager,
Space
politically
Nine, Voyager.
correct.
No, this
it's
is a
old-fashioned
new
sci-fi Star Trek adventure
Trek that they're creating based on the
1960s.
60s version. They're coming out with a new one. It should be out sometime in 2017. They've already mentioned it on the
internet. Yeah, I saw in the trailer. Incredible.
Yeah, and it just looks like it's gonna have some really special effects. Let's have fun with Star Trek.
Oh.
Let me do this one here. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me do it again.
But I'm so excited.
Let me do this here.
Deep Space Nine.
Nope.
Oh. Voyager.
Yeah.
That was it, yeah. Yeah, Voyager. Yep. I never got into that series because it's so politically correct. I tried to. I saw the pilot and a few other episodes, but yeah. I know I heard somewhere there was a collection of Star Trek episodes on DVD or something where you could buy every single Star Trek episode of every single season and show ever made, from the first classic to Voyager to Enterprise.
That would be worth collecting. You know, I meant
I'm not plugging products because
no, I understand that. But
that
it's
is
just the truth. Yeah, and I wouldn't mind having it as a collection, but
yeah, that would
I
cost a
didn't
fortune.
care for every Star Trek.
Nor did I.
episode
Nor
that
did
they ever
I.
had.
Nor did I.
Like there were from each Star Trek, including the one with William Shatner.
Yes.
There were some I liked, and there were some I didn't care for.
Exactly.
And with the rest of the Star Trek thing, but I think with this new Star Trek,
it's
there'll
gonna be good.
I think it's gonna be really good.
Yeah.
Really, really. Let me do another Star Trek here.
Like some of the ones I didn't care for like the original series with William Shatner, they had some anti-religious ones. They were, talking about gods or people's belief in, an alien's race belief in God, and it wasn't true. But it was from an atheistic point of view, and that offended me as a Christian, deeply. That I did not like at all. Even on Next Generation, they had something like that, occasionally. But that's just not right, That just upset me very much, And I just total holes, the atheistic line. And I don't want to get political or religious here, but it's just as a science fiction fan, but also a religious person, I was offended by that kind of a thing, because it had a message,
Mm-hmm.
But I think my favorite Star Trek episodes, if I had to change one, of the William Shatner one, that was good gravy. What was it? The Doomsday Machine.
Yeah.
The big giant outer space robot that was from another galaxy in a great space. Well,
that's my personal favorite Star Trek episode.
Yeah, that was
the
incredible.
Doomsday Machine. Yeah. William Wyndham, the actor that played Captain Decker, I just think he nailed that. He just nails that.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Of course, I've been a fan of William Wyndham ever since I was a little boy, because he used to do a television show called My World and Welcome to It. And it was like this comedy show where his house would turn into a cartoon and talk to him. Yeah. And he was the only one that could hear his house talk to him. His house would like stretch and have eyeballs and look at him and tell him something. His wife couldn't see it, the kids couldn't see it. It was just a cute little comedy show, and it had a theme that went something like this. I remember it. See. That was the melody.
I don't know my favorite episode from Next Generation. I don't know that. I liked the ones with the Borg, and I definitely liked the pilot, when they first introduced Q. It was a delightful one, and I can't even remember the name of it, but Data started to was interfaced with the ship's computer. They had some days off, kind of some vacation on time with docking on a space station. Data was interfacing with the computer. All of his files were downloaded in every program, including the holodeck. And Lieutenant Worf and his son were on the holodeck because they were playing a Western adventure in Montana.
And something went wrong.
Yeah, and Data was the bad guy, and the safety systems were off on the holodeck. So it became a very dangerous situation. And that was a fun one. There was some humor thrown in. I thought it was so funny when Lieutenant Worf was trying to get out of this. He would say, Captain Picard, please, can I do some more repairs on the forward phases array? Some of the other cars, and Captain Picard said, you have the time, Worf. you can relax.
Yeah.
And Lieutenant Worf just came in and, to his room, to his quarters, and basically his son Alexander asked, "Can you go, Father?" And he said, "Yes, I can go." And so Alexander put a cowboy hat on his head and said, "All right, saddle up, Father." And he sat down with a cowboy hat on his head.
And then Worf winds up having more fun because it was dangerous.
Exactly. He had a blast doing that.
That sounds like Shore Leave, the Shore Leave episode.
Yeah, that was excellent. Yeah.
Spock didn't need a vacation time.
Yeah, that was a good one too. That was one of my favorite.
They go to that planet and stuff starts happening because they have to realize that if they have these fantasies, they have to control those fantasies to relive them.
Yes,
exactly. They didn't know that at first.
Exactly.
So, like, they picked up a gun or something.
Yeah, that was excellent. That was an excellent one.
A knight's going to get you.
Yeah.
When you get stabbed, you'll get stabbed for real.
Yeah.
But once the people on the planet realized the Earthlings didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, exactly. That was excellent. Yeah.
And so Dr. McCoy gets stabbed by that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Protecting his girlfriend.
No.
But they had like medical things.
Yeah, exactly.
They still say be careful because something could still go wrong.
Exactly.
And Kirk wanted to beat up
this bully from
his
name was Finnegan. Yeah, Starfleet. Finnegan. He was
Yeah.
always doing something. Yeah, and Finnegan showed up and just
Yeah, and then his other girlfriend Ruth shows up.
Yeah.
Too. And that was a good episode. I liked that.
Yeah, it was very good.
I really like this. It's called Shore Leave. I really like that.
I wouldn't mind being on a planet myself like that because I could relive old memories or do new things or
you
just
have to be careful, like the Planet Keeper is saying.
Exactly.
But again, Doomsday Machine's my
That's
personal
fantastic.
favorite. That's just and you know what I liked about that from a psychological point of view? That's good writing.
It is very good
Because
writing.
think about it. You've got this Starfleet Commodore who loses his entire crew.
Yeah.
So he's bummed out by that, and psychologically he's not himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he hijacks the Enterprise to go after that thing. He's like obsessed, like I'm gonna kill this
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
And then of course when Kirk gets control of his ship, Decker ends up taking his own life.
Yeah.
That was part of the psychological thing from losing his crew.
Exactly.
That's very believable.
It is.
Even though it turns out to be an accident to figure out how to kill the Doomsday
Exactly.
Machine. That's just such a neat episode.
Great writing, yeah, fantastic. And great Space Wars, too, if you like
Yeah,
Space Wars
and,
like I do.
Yeah, and they've got that new restored version of the
Yeah.
Doomsday
Oh, that's
Machine on the
fantastic,
computer, so
yeah.
when you see that episode, it's just better than the original.
Yeah, exactly.
But William Wyndham, he
Yeah.
was a fine actor.
By the way, did you ever see the animated version of Star Trek that came out in 1973?
I did, and there were some of those, I think about 80% of those I didn't care for.
Same here. I mean, they could have, and it was greeted with mixed results. I mean, they could have done so much.
It was a good idea when they did it, but I didn't care for it.
Nor do I. I mean, I watched it because I loved science fiction so much I'd watch anything, but it was okay. It wasn't great. It was just, they could have done a lot more with it.
Yeah, it was.
The animation was primitive and...
That was just okay. I didn't care for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll watch it. It's like I could live with or without it.
Yeah.
I did like the special effects a little bit as far as the artwork.
Yeah,
But, no, I think that Star Trek, the William Shatner version, is just the best.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
You can't beat it. Yeah, they may have better special effects by the time they did Enterprise, and Deep Space Nine, and what have you, but no, Captain Kirk was smooth.
Yeah.
The rest of those characters, the characters they had, and it was just a neat series at the time.
So I can't wait. I'm counting down the days to see,
Maybe another
this
year
new.
from now, probably.
And that is
guess fall of 2017.
Yeah, the news. So that's something to look forward to, folks.
Yeah, the Star Trek, the new Star Trek that's coming out that they just announced, I think today on the computer.
I wonder if that's going to be based on the new movies they had with the younger William Shatner. If they're just going to make it.
I personally think it's going to be based on the television show, from what I've been reading.
Yeah. So to have a new William Shatner.
Well, of course they've got to get younger actors. They can't have the real.
I was
William
thinking
Shatner
that. Yeah.
80-something years old. That won't work.
Or maybe they'd have all new and just a new ship before Next Generation. That's a possibility.
I think it'll be the Shatner version.
That's fantastic.
More of a modernized.
That's fantastic.
I think that's going to be what it is.
Because I love those two movies, Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness. They are making a third one, I think.
Well, this is a television series, and they may have the special effects like those two Star Trek films, but I think I think it'll be just based on the television series.
Yeah.
They might even do another Doomsday Machine, a more fancier version.
You know,
Stuff
it's
like
interesting. Did you ever get a magazine called Starlog?
I remember it. I heard of it.
I have a lot of old Starlogs. For you people who don't know, Starlog, they don't have it anymore. But I read that when I was a child, week to week, or as much as I could, you know, like the Bible practically, just over and over again, because it was about the world of science fiction and fantasy. And it was about, you know, what are the new movies, television shows, conventions coming up, how did they make it, interviews with that kind of thing. About around 1980, they were going to make another Star Trek with William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, or someone else like that, but it was going to be a new series, you know, and just after Star Trek the Motion Picture, they were going to revise that for television. It never got made, but I saw they reprinted some of the sketches of some of the plots that they were going to have for the first season. You know, and I was excited when this was going to happen, but I read those and I was not impressed. They were kind of depressing, just pressing stuff about Klingons, some other. They had a very disturbing one that they were going to shoot and do, where somehow Abraham Lincoln had lived through his assassination and it had screwed up Starfleet somehow. So Mr. Spock had to go back in time and kill Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, see, that's kind of silly.
Yeah, that's disturbing. That's very disturbing, and I didn't like that kind of. They're gonna.
That's not a kind of a science fiction thing I would like. I'll tell you what was cool. Science fiction.
So they never had that. They never had that. Thankfully, they never even made that series. I'm glad, kind of.
When I was a little boy, there was a show called Time Tunnel.
Oh yes.
And I went back and looked at some of those early episodes recently, and they had this episode. Well, let me tell you the synopsis for people watching the show that may not know that. There were people in this laboratory underground, and the government was sponsoring this program where they built this big time tunnel. It was like a tunnel, and the thing was the government was spending millions and millions of dollars to see if this time tunnel would work. And before the two main scientists finished the project, the government wanted to pull out of the program and not sponsor it anymore. So one of the scientists decided to test the time tunnel on his own. And so he goes into this tunnel, and of course the tunnel works, but then something goes wrong because they hadn't finished creating the time tunnel. So he gets trapped in this thing, and so he couldn't get back home. So week after week, the time tunnel would send this creator to a different point of history. And just before the series started, his assistant wanted to save the creator of the time tunnel. So he goes in there too. So he ends up getting trapped in there, and they're both in the same period, and they both get plunged from different points of history. So they had this episode where both of them go to the Titanic before it sank.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting because they were trying to tell this captain, please, captain, turn this ship a different direction. How do you know that? You just got to take our word for it. If you don't change course, the ship is going to crash. And so the captain and the pursers and everybody thought these two guys were a bunch of kooks. And they couldn't really say we're from the future. That would make it even worse. So the captain locks them up, right? And there was this one lady on the Titanic, and she believed him. And she said, I don't know how you guys would know this, but I think you're telling the truth. And I think, if I remember right, they told this lady that they were from the future. And that at this certain time, the Titanic was going to hit the iceberg, and it was going to sink, and it was going to kill everybody. And so this lady believes it, right? So right when that ship hits, she was like one of the first people to get to safety because she believed what these two time travelers were telling her. But she couldn't tell anybody else because nobody would have believed it.
Yeah.
And of course, they don't show people drowning, but after the ship hit, you knew that everybody drowned. And what was interesting about this show, A Time Tunnel, just when these two creators were about to be killed, the time tunnel would freeze them where they are before they got to the point of death and plunge them into another time. And then next week be another episode. Like there's one episode where they're in this scene where they're fighting these gladiators, in Rome and stuff. It was just great science fiction. But that was chilling to me, interesting to me, that one of the Titanic. Titanic. Just the night before the ship was going to crash. And these two time travelers were pleading with this captain, just change the ship, change the course, don't take off, whatever. This ship is safe. This ship has never had a problem. You know, that same old scenario. But yeah, it was called Time Tunnel, and I used to watch that show. Another show I used to watch, Land of the Giants.
I loved that
This
show.
was one of my personal favorites as a little boy.
I loved it.
And basically, for those who don't remember Land of the Giants, Captain Burton and Captain Erickson, they were the pilots of a ship called the Spindrift, and they were on their way to London, and they would go through space, you know, and then head back. And when they were in space, as they were heading toward London with the crew of about 6 or 7 people, there's this mysterious cloud in space that sucks them in. And when they get sucked into this thing, they end up in this world of these giants.
Yep.
They didn't know they were in the land of the giants at first, because when they went through this cloud, everything was back to normal. So they thought they were on Earth, London. And then the first sign that something was wrong after they landed the ship, it was so foggy and the captain didn't know where they were. So the 2 captains get out and look around, and all of a sudden this giant car, this huge giant car just comes out and practically runs them over, and they hit for cover. And of course the car goes right over because it's a giant car. And then all of a sudden they hear these footsteps, you know, and then they realize something's wrong, so they start running to the ship. Captain Burton says, "Everybody strap in, we're taking off. Taking off, we're in London." And so they just, you know, they start lighting the ship up, trying to get the takeoff. All of a sudden, this big old giant grabs the ship, and they had this music. And the guy picks up this ship, right? And then they're looking at the portal of their ship, and there's like this big head, you know. This big giant picks up the ship, and then after the theme music comes on, it picks up, you know. And so they're trying to take off with this giant hoy, right? So they get away from the giant, and they're flying. They're like 5,000 feet up in the air, and there's buildings everywhere. And the captain's like, 5,000 feet? We're 5,000 feet in the air. There's buildings everywhere. And Betty, she's like the stewardess, like, "Oh, it can't be. It can't be." And they realized they were trapped in this land of the giants. So they didn't have enough power to get back into space and get out of there. So they had to land that ship, and that's how the series started. And of course, they were more technical advanced than the people in the land of the giants, because obviously they had a spaceship, so they had space flight. Whereas the people in the land of the giants were very primitive. They had rotary phones and what have you. And what was interesting about that show is all the famous movie stars of the past appeared on Land of the Giants.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the really famous movie stars then, you know, Sugar Ray Robinson, famous boxer. He was on an episode of that. Vic Morrow, the actor, Broderick Crawford. These are actors from the past, which our audience here today probably won't know them, but they were like, they're really famous actors. And it was such a fun show watching this show. You know, seeing how these little people would get out of these situations. It was like watching Lost in Space. But they were in this land of the giants. And so, like, they had a scene in there in the first episode. There was this cat.
I remember that was great.
Just this cat. It was like this house cat, right? But see, Commander Fitzhugh, I got this memorized. He steals $1 million, right? And so he decides he wants to get off the ship. So he's like walking around. He doesn't know he's in the land of the giants. And the little boy Barry goes after him and follows him, right? And all of a sudden you hear this music on. And all of a sudden this cat, they turn around, you hear this roar, you know? And it's a house cat, but then it was like this big giant cat looking down, and he takes his paw and he hits Commander Fitzhugh, knocks the money over, right? Let's get out of here! So he and the boy run, right? And they get back on the ship. That thing is after us! And the captain says, "There's 2 more people out there, Fitzhugh!" And so the captain opens the door, and this cat's like, roar! And all of a sudden, they close the door, right? And the cat's like trying to get inside that spaceship.
Amazing. That's great. That was fantastic. I saw that. I loved it.
And that was pretty cool.
It was.
And then they had some other scenes. We talk about science fiction. I love science fiction.
Oh, same here. It's
they had another scene, and this was in the pilot episode. They had not a stewardess, but one of the flight people. I can't remember her name, but she and the captain are exploring, right? They're exploring the land of the giants, and they're trying to figure out a way to save. Well, no, before anybody got captured, they're exploring, right? And there's this big trap, like this mouse trap, like this animal trap. And the captain tells that lady, "Stay out of there, don't go in there, you don't know what that is," right? You know, she's not hard-headed, right? She's like, "I won't buy it without telling my lawyer." So she goes inside there after the captain tells her not to go in there, right? And the captain says, "Don't you listen to anything?" So the captain goes there, right? And then the trap closes. All of a sudden, this big giant comes and he collects all the traps. But he doesn't know there's little people in there yet. So then, when the giant puts the mouse traps down, they get out of there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to escape, and of course, the lady, they always say, teach the lady how to run. The ladies always trip and fall, right? So
yeah, back in those days, they did.
I know. There's always a lady that tripped and fell. So the lady knocks over this glass tube, and the giant's here. So they go over there, and they see Captain Burton hanging on this rope, right? And they grab him, and they put him in this little jar, and all of a sudden the lady's like trying to get away, right? And there's like these two big giants hovering over.
Yeah.
And the scientist picks her up. They put them both in this little jar, right?
Yeah.
And then they lay them on the table and tape them up. They're like experimenting. They got this big giant pencil. They're like poking out.
Yeah.
And so the other Captain Erickson, and one of the crew members, they decide to go after and try to help him, right?
Yeah.
And then they get him loose from the table by climbing up there and everything. Mm-hmm. And then they get down from the table, right? Mm-hmm. And right when they get down, the giant sees him running away. He takes his big butterfly net. He's gonna try to capture him, right? And he gets the other captain. He gets Captain Erickson in the net, right? He's like, help! Or Steve, help! So then Commander Fitzhugh had this gun that was illegal, that they weren't supposed to have. And so the little boy and one of the other crew members and Commander Fitzhugh, Fitzhugh has his gun. And they see this huge giant, right? And all of a sudden, the boy takes Fitzhugh's hand like this and shoots it, and it stuns the giant because they shoot him in the leg, right? So he drops the net, and they free the other captain out of the net, and they go into this little tunnel. And this giant's like peeking in there, come back! Ain't that creepy?
Yeah.
So, and then the giant slips his hand in a little thing there. He's trying to get the little people, right? And Commander Fitzhugh takes his gun. He's like shooting his hand to stun that giant, Mm-hmm. And then they get away from it, right? Mm-hmm. And then they go through the end of the little canal, and it leads them out to this like forest, right? And they're resting. All of a sudden, this big boxer dog comes out. He's like this huge dog, right? So a couple of crew members, they hide in this egg case, where they have like eggs.
Yeah.
And this dog's like, rah! He's like on top of the egg case trying to get in there, trying to get those little people, right? And so the captain like sees this like turpentine stuff. Mm-hmm. And he takes his jacket off and dips it in there. And then he throws it toward the dog, and they light this thing that explodes, and it causes the dog to run away in fear. And that was just like a cool episode.
I know,
that started this whole series, Land of the Giants, and
that was excellent writing. Yeah, just really
I think Land of the Giants of all those shows was probably the best.
Yeah. Except for Star Trek.
I know. But there are some episodes that I think I would prefer to watch over Star Trek.
Oh yeah, well over some of the Star Trek episodes,
But if you exclude Star Trek with William Shatner, I would say Land of the Giants was the best science fiction show in the 60s and 70s, however long that show lasted.
I'd say Twilight Zone to the Outer Limits, actually. The Land of the Giants isn't one of them, but actually I'd prefer Twilight Zone.
Well, I realize it, but that was not really what you would call
science fiction. Well, it was bizarre enough, and of course.
But I mean, if we're talking strictly science fiction,
The Outer Limits was definitely science fiction. That was incredible
but that
writing.
didn't seem as fun to me. But everybody has their interpretation.
Exactly. I thought it was really scary and really intense. That's the one, folks, where everyone was screaming about aliens trying to terrorize them and terrorize the planet Earth. There's weird, really scary stuff, including like tumbleweeds that came alive because they were extraterrestrials and controlled by stuff like, and they would attack people. I mean, stuff like
that. I wouldn't call that science fiction to the degree like Land of the Giants or Time Tunnel.
Yeah.
Well, what's fun about those shows is they pretty much had the same writer. Allen. He did Lost in Space, and I thought that was cool too. That concept with Billy Mooney and the rest of the crew, June Lockhart, and I've always been a June Lockhart fan. But I've said this before with Lost in Space. If they kept that serious, I think that would have been a better legacy than the legacy that it left.
Yeah.
And I know they wanted to cater to children after about the second season or so, but they should have kept it serious.
Exactly.
And those black and white episodes of Lost in Space, there was a scene where Professor John Robinson they're in space. They're flying in space, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they had to make some repairs. And he climbs out on top of that spaceship while they're out there in outer space, and he's fixing stuff, right? And right when he gets done fixing, his line breaks, and he starts floating out in space. And so his wife, Maureen, suits up, and she's got this little gun, and she's shooting this wire trying to save her husband. Stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
They should have kept it serious like
I
that.
agree.
And that was fun to watch. And then they had another show called Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. Which,
Yeah, I never watched that one. Yeah.
that was pretty cool. That was basically science fiction, but it was based on this crew on a submarine called the Sea View.
Yeah.
And what was fun about that show was it had what was called a flying sub, short for flying submarine, that would come out of the front of the Sea View, and then that thing would go underwater, and then it would fly up in the air like a ship.
Yes.
And it could hold a crew of maybe 2 or 3 people when they were doing certain things at the Sea View itself. And that was a pretty cool submarine because this was a special submarine that could go further underwater and withhold the pressure of the water than the normal submarines. They had this episode once where this enemy submarine was going after the Sea View, right? And it was shooting missiles at it. So the admiral says, okay, I tell you what, let's take our ship and we'll just dive, right? We'll dive because the Sea View will be able to take the pressure. Because the more you go under the water, the more pressure, right? And the Sea View could take it. So when the bad guys went under there, that water crushed that submarine and exploded. And that's how they got out of that. And then they surfaced. And yeah, The Voice at the Bottom of the Sea was such a cool show. Even though it was military oriented. But like anything else, they started getting crazy with these goofy monsters. It's like Lost in Space. And it just was, not the same.
Yeah.
But the early episodes of Voice at the Bottom of the Sea and Lost in Space and even Land of the Giants, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But when they start catering to kids, it gets
it does.
goofy.
At least Land of the Giants, from what I saw, I only saw a few episodes because I saw it in Seattle. It wasn't in Lewiston. At least they kept it serious, it seemed. They kept
that show was more serious than the rest of them.
I remember one episode they had Land of the Giants. I can't remember how it went, but there was this, father, and he gave his child some army toys, and the child said, "Yes, sir," "No, sir," or whatever, "Yes, sir," and then he thanked his father, but then he found the little people and started trying to play with the little people. He thought they were toy action figures.
Oh, I remember that.
That was a good one. I can't remember the whole thing, but the little people in danger, and his father said, "These are the little people and not toys," or something.
I remember that episode.
That was a good episode. I like that.
This is called Symphony A by Beethoven. I enjoyed this one-on-one. We're almost out of time.
Yes, we are. Spending dryer.
Isn't that pretty, that song?
I wonder if they're going to have washers and dryers on the new Star Trek. Wouldn't that be exciting? They ought to do that. Folks, if you're writing and you see this, can you have one with washers and dryers? Won't that be fascinating? And drinking coffee all the time? That'll make me happy. Like washing machines, well, that'll be fascinating. And can we make it with lots of lasers and space war action? That's what I like, That's one with new Klingons and maybe some battles of Klingons or other aliens with lots of lasers, so I can go,
Now, I admit I didn't do much playing in this particular episode, but it was fun covering all those old science fiction topics. And I never get tired because I tell you.
Oh, I love science fiction.
I don't know why they haven't made a Land of the Giants movie yet. They've done just about everything else.
They should, That would be fantastic.
The actor Don Marshall, I saw him in an interview where he had even mentioned that. I wonder why they didn't make a Land of the Giants movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe somebody will think it up. So if you're watching out there at TV land, if they ever make a Land of the Giants movie, that's going to be pretty cool. And on that, we're almost out of time. See, this hour just went by real quick. You want to make some say some final words before we take off here, Emmett?
Yeah. There were these 2 dryers. And then it's a real joke. And they were sticking their tongues at algebra books because it's fascinating. But then this one washing machine came along and said, "Oh, I can't say around that." So he went to the other side of the room and started screaming about trigonometry. Isn't that hilarious?
I gotta say it again, don't quit your day job.
Makes me laugh.
Yeah. Well, let me make some final acknowledgments and we'll sign out.
This is pretty good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You know, every once in a while, Emmett and I do these one-on-ones, and I never get tired of them. They're always a
Yeah.
delight. And of course, all the other people, Linda Brooks Curtis and Teresa Toigo and all the rest of the gang that are part of this Asaph Cafe. I'm very blessed to have this show, and I could not do this show without Emmett and all the rest of the people that are part of this. And we invite people from the community. So if there's anybody watching that wants to be on this show, just contact MCAT Studio. We tape this show every Thursday, 2 episodes, and it's just fun. So anyway, thank you for watching, and you know, we've had some milestones, so we won't be having any milestones for a while, but this show is such a joy, such a delight, and I feel very blessed to have this show, and I hope to be able to do this show for a long time to come, and I hope to be able to do it on PBS one day. It'll be fun to do Asaph Cafe.
And this dessert was delicious.
Yeah,
whatever it was, that was good.
I have to thank the Missoula seniors.
Yeah, please.
I think it's a key lime pastry or something like
good.
that.
Oh
very,
my
very
word!
Good. Yeah, it's very good.
That was delicious.
So making acknowledgments, I am your host, Asaph Adonai, and on my left, affectionately, our aging rocker, Emmett.
Yep.
Thanks for tuning in. And until our next show, Maranatha.
Yep. May the force be with you. Live long and prosper and all that. I still can't believe it.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Well,
Makes me want to spin in a dryer.
Yeah. Well, make yourself at home, and we'll shut this down.
All right.
I'll make you a copy.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.